It's coming to the second one, students. So last video లో సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ గ్రావిటీ గురించి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేసాం. సో ఈ వీడియోలో సెకండ్ వన్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ మనకి వెక్టార్ ప్రొడక్ట్. ఏంటమ్మా? వెక్టార్ ప్రొడక్ట్. So what is a vector product? So vector product, if two vectors are multiplied to give a vector, and the product of two vectors is a vector product. Then suppose if a bar and b bar are two vectors with an angle theta with a sine angle, then the resultant r bar is equal to a bar cross b bar. Therefore resultant r bar is equal to a bar cross b bar is equal to ab sin theta, ab sin theta with n cap, where n cap is called a unit vector. Unit vector. So here simply if two vectors multiply to give a vector. So రెండు vectors ని multiply చేయడం వల్ల వచ్చేది కూడా వెక్టారే అవుతుంది. Suppose a bar b bar are two vectors with an angle theta, then resultant vector is r bar is equal to a bar cross b bar. So ab sin theta with angle sin theta. So then n cap, where n cap is called a unit vectors. Next one, example. So వీటికి మనం ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చూద్దామండి. సో the product of torque tau, the tau is equal to product of position vector and force vector. Position vector and force vector. So here we can write this is the torque, or we can write this one also. Then like this, torque tau is equal to position vector. R is the position vector and F is the force vector. The product of a vector product of position vector and force vector is called a torque tau. And the second one, another example is the linear momentum. So L bar is equal to position vector and force vector. The product of momentum P bar and R bar. Position vector and momentum P bar. The product of momentum P bar and R is the position vector. So these two are the examples of vector product. So next one, coming to the properties. So what are the properties? So properties, the first one. So vector product does not obey the commutative law. It does not obey commutative law. So that is a bar cross b bar is not equal to b bar cross a bar. But ఏం జరుగుతున్నాయంటే a bar cross b bar is equal to minus b bar cross a bar. So it is existed. But a bar cross b bar not equal to b bar cross a bar. So this is the first properties. And second one. So what is the second property? So it does not obey the commutative law, but it obeys the distributive law. Obeys the distributive law. So distributive law means a bar cross b bar plus c bar is equal to a bar cross b bar plus a bar cross c bar. So this is the distributive law. So a bar cross b bar plus a bar cross c bar. So it obeys the distributive law, but it does not obey the commutative law. And third one, if two vectors are in a parallel, so parallel vectors. So So parallel vectors means if theta is equal to 0 degrees. That's why A bar and B bar both are in parallel. Therefore, it can be written as A bar cross B bar is equal to AB sine theta. So where theta is called 0, then sine 0. So what is the sine 0 value? Sine 0, 0. 0 into anything? 0. Then AB into 0, that is equal to 0. So that means if two parallel vectors, vector product gives a null vector. So 0 vector and null vector 0 vector. Next fourth one, if two vectors are perpendicular to each other, perpendicular. If two vectors are perpendicular, then theta is equal to 90 degrees. That means if A bar vector and B bar vector both in theta is equal to 90 degrees perpendicular, so then we can write the A bar cross B bar is equal to AB sine theta. That is equal to AB into sine 90. So what is the value of sine 90? 1. Sine 90 is 1. Then AB into 1, that is equal to AB. So this is the one property. And last another one property, fifth one. If vectors are mutually perpendicular, suppose we can take the I, X, Y, Z, I, J and K cap. So if three vectors are perpendicular, then it gives the 1. Suppose I cap into I, that is equal to J into J, that is equal to K into K, K bar into K bar. So here all are parallel, then it gives the null vector 0. That is equal to the next one. I cross J is equal to J cross K is equal to K cross I. It gives the unit vector. It gives the unit vector. So then, so I into J perpendicular. Perpendicular means 90 degrees. Then it gives the one unit vector. So and so those vectors are perpendicular. That gives the unit vector. Or theta is equal to 90 degrees. Those vectors are parallel. It gives a null vector. So finally, once again, so vector. So vector means if two vectors are multiplied to give a vector. If A bar and B bar are two vectors multiplied to resultant angle theta, then it gives the AB sine theta. Then n cap is the unit vector. So what are the examples? Tau is equal to position vector into force vector, and angular momentum is equal to momentum into position vector. So properties, it does not obey the commutative law, it obeys the distributive law. And third one, two vectors parallel gives the null vector, two vectors perpendicular, theta is equal to 90, it gives the AB. And if A bar and B are, so I and J are parallel, it gives the 0. I and J perpendicular, so I parallel, IJ perpendicular, parallel one 0, perpendicular one gives the value 1. So take a screenshot